Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is Ruokangas. You're watching the episode number 3 of my Zen and the Art of Guitar Maintenance tutorials. This time I'll show you how to restring your Strat in the best possible way. That's it, simple and to the point. Let's get to it.
Start off by loosening the strings. Be careful not to damage the guitar. As you can see, this old Strat from late 60s beat up, but still not necessary to be violent, okay? And there you go. I take off all the strings. And now if your guitar has the back plate in there for the springs, this one doesn't, but if yours has it, it might not be necessary to remove it for restringing. Depends on how well the backplate is positioned in relation to those string holes in the sustain block of the bridge. So if you can't easily, push out the old strings and slip in the new strings through the backplate, remove the backplate. But often it's fine, so you don't need to remove it for this. So as you can see here, I am mounting all the strings through the sustain block, like so. And pay attention how I'm holding the guitar. I'm holding it in place with one arm upright. I find this a practical way to do it, so I can work from both sides of the guitar. You could also hold it between your knees or the body between your knees or something. But this is how I do it. There goes the last one, the high E string. Moving on. So I'm using here Big Ben's lube. As you can see, I'm applying it to that little application tool. What would you call that? It comes with a syringe when you buy that Big Ben stuff. There are other brands available too. I find this one pretty good. There are probably others as good. So what I'm doing here is I'm lubricating the nut slots, and in addition to lubricating, I'm also cleaning them. So you can see in a second. So I'm taking here the low E string, the end of the string, and I'm rubbing it back and forth in the nut slot a little bit to clean the nut slot and to double check that it glides well in there, because this is important. If it doesn't glide with ease, you have problems. And there you can see another technique. So I'm pushing out some black goo from the G string slot, and I'm double checking that it glides well. So if the string wouldn't glide well here, if you find it like there's friction there when you're rubbing it back and forth, my advice is take the guitar to a pro. Don't start filing it yourself unless it's a hobby of yours to do that stuff. But it's so easy to ruin your nut of the guitar. So. And a small thing to fix for a pro. So here, starting off with the low E string at the tuner, pay attention. There's the low E string, and 1, 2. I'm measuring 2 amounts of tuners for a bit of extra string there. I'm pushing it into that slotted post of the tuner, pressing it tightly against the tuner post. I'm using here now my fingers, as you can see. Wrapping around the post a little bit, but not all the way just yet. Why? Because I'm doing here something mysterious that I call releasing the twist of the string. Whatever that means, that mysterious thing means, you'll find out in a second. Or maybe you watched my earlier videos and you already know. If you haven't, you'll find out. No worries. Moving on to the A string. Pay attention here again. There we have the A string, 1, 2 and a half, a bit more. So I'm giving a bit of more extra string for the A. Why? You'll find out. Maybe you already know. This is pretty obvious stuff for experienced Strat players, but not always, because I'm seeing how people are restringing their guitars, and often enough, even experienced players, there are very exotic ways of of restringing a guitar. So here, let's now look at that, releasing the twist. Now pay close attention to what is there at the A string. I'm pushing it out and see that ball end rolled a bit. So I released twist from the string. Why did I do that? What is the twist? Let's talk about it in a moment. Moving on to the D string, and here again, pay attention. D, 1, 2, 3. Again, more extra string than for the A string. So each new string, the lighter gauge string, more excess. Why? Probably you know. If you don't, you'll find out in a second. So there we repeat. Look at that neat wrap of string around the post. Releasing the twist and continuing. And notice that the string is wrapping all the way, all the time downwards, neatly. Moving on to the G string. This one is the most critical one. The most critical one. Pay attention. G string, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are my imaginary tuner posts there. And again, we gave this string a bit more extra than the previous one. Wrapping it around the post. There you can see how the string starts rolling downwards around the post. A neat pack. And before we're done, we're doing the same repetition here, releasing that twist and also double checking that that ball end is in place. Sometimes it isn't, and then when you tune up the string, you'll hear this nasty sound from the bridge and the ball end clicks into its place and it goes totally out of tune. So this can happen. Okay, here, pay attention from the side. So the Strat doesn't have any angle at the headstock, as you can see. So a Les Paul, on the other hand, would have an angled headstock, and what we're doing here with wrapping the string around the posts is that we are creating that angle. So we are adjusting the angle of the strings when they travel from the nut to the tuner posts. You know, and especially the G string, that is the most critical one because it is traveling the longest from the nut to the tuner post without a string tree. Typically without a string tree. Sometimes some guitars, some Strats have it, but typically it wouldn't have, and it's a good thing that they don't. But so if you don't put enough rounds of string around that post, you'll have some trouble because you don't have enough angle. Moving on to the B string. So B, and 1, 2, 3, 4, same amount as for the G string. Not necessary to give this string more extra. We don't need more angle there because we have that string tree. And here I'll show you a new technique with the lightest gauge, the B and E string. Pay attention. So I slipped it through that slot to create a lock. So why did I do it differently for the B string? Well, it is because the lightest strings, they sometimes have a tendency in this type of tuner to slip out from that hole when you add tension to the string. So there are other techniques as effective as this one. I'm used to do it this way, and I find it very, very effective, practical, fast, without any extra tools, so it's pretty good. And pay attention that you are positioning the B string under the string tree, always. And here you see another technique, how I'm measuring the extra string, so you don't need to make up all those imaginary posts. So I just pulled back the string and counted 4. Here we do it again. We slip it through that slotted end of the post. Can't see it very well from this angle, but imagine, people. Okay, there it went, and we continue wrapping it around the post, releasing the twist and placing the string under the string tree. Now let's take a look at what happened. This is about how it's supposed to look from the side when you've changed the strings. So you're supposed to have the, as you can see there in this guitar, I managed to do it so that there's 2 rounds on the low E, 3 rounds on the A, 4 rounds on the D, and a couple of more rounds on the G string, and so on. So the angle becomes enough for those strings. And for the B and E string, you don't need to make it so much thanks to that string tree. So there you go. So here what I'm doing is I'm stretching the strings, but you need to be careful to not overstretch your strings. Showing here with every one of them my way of doing with my fingers, and so pay attention, don't overstretch. I showed in another video what happens if you overstretch. So let's move on to tuning up the guitar, but no, not this way, always tune up the guitar in the playing position, because it is different when the neck rests downwards on the table. It will be a bit different, so it's good to do the tuning in playing position. Okay, and in this guitar the trem is set floating. So when I'm tightening the strings, the bridge, the vibrato gives in a bit and it raises from the top of the guitar. So you need to kind of retune a few times to return to pitch. So getting to the end of this, there we are. Strung up the guitar and sounds great.
Okay guys, that's it. We did it. A quick recap of the essential steps. Number 1, take your time. Don't rush. Make it a habit to not wait until the strings of your guitar are totally dead and gone before you change them. This way you're in control. You're on top of things, and you'll avoid situations where your guitar just doesn't play in tune, or you break an old string in the middle of your band rehearsals, or in the worst case, doing a live stream or on stage. Number 2, in these vintage Fender style cloisonne tuners with slotted posts, the important thing is to understand that it matters how many rounds of string you wind around the post, especially the D and G strings. Too few rounds and your open notes might resonate in the nut slots due to lack of pressure against the nut. or too many rounds on the low E string, and your tuning stability might not be best possible due to unnecessarily steep angle from the nut to the tuner post. Right, number 3, releasing the twist of the strings. Yep, might sound like nitpicking, but if you're like me and you want to get the best out of your guitar and the most out of that set of strings you just bought, do it. A bit of extra attention to detail does make a difference. And last but not least, number 4, pre-stretching the strings. Be careful, do not overstretch. Watch my earlier video about stringing a Les Paul to find out what does it mean to overstretch and what does it do to your guitar strings. Link up in the corner now. That's about it. Guys, if you want to see more videos like this, please leave your comments down below. If you found the video useful, do hit that like button. It helps my YouTube channel to spread to more guitar people like you. And if you don't want to miss the next one, do subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Be safe, take care, peace, love, and good music.